Hello guys, welcome back, and today we're gonna be talking about Infinite Stratos and New Age of Warfare. So yeah, let's begin, shall we, ladies and gents? And also, it's going to be my last video until I come back maybe on my birthday, which is August 17th. So I'm happy to say that it's going to be a while. Well, not really happy, more like disappointed to say the least. Anyway, let's continue on with this episode, shall we, ladies and gents? As we currently see back with Chifuyu and that of wait for a second, and that of Vince, as you would say, so what's in it for me exactly? As you would look towards them, specifically both Chifuyu and the U.S. representative, or in this case, a U.S. representative of the U.S. As the U.S. Representative would just say, I'm just gonna call him, Joe. Yeah, let's just call him Joe. As you'd say, well, kid, because you made a machine that somehow works almost certainly to the IS, but except it's not an exosuit, we will classify it as that of a weapon or a construction vehicle, considering that you use it as one. As you would say, yes, and whatever. Also, why bring me into the IS Academy, considering my machine is not technically an IS or even powered by an IS core? As saying that, she would say, well, the reason why is because the UN wants you to try and make these machines. That's it? Vince would be unimpressed at first. Until, if that's the case, then, as he would look at them again, as he would say, fine then, but what's in it for me? As the, wait for a second, my throat. As the US representative would say, well, for you to join the IS Academy, there's also another reason for that. We've recently been called by a certain school that apparently there's a boy that's able to use an IS. After hearing that, Vince would look at him and would say, wait, a boy is able to use an IS? How? And, oh, I see. As you would say, As you would look up towards the boy once again, as you would say, you want me to join because because the boy that's able to use an IS needs a friend, or at least someone that's able to help him out. I see. If that's the case, I can certainly try, but I would rather be more busy making up my creation, aka the Desperado. After hearing that, one of them would say, so that's the David the Machine, said the US representative, as you would say, yes, though it's mostly just for construction, no for war yet. As Chifuyu would just look at him and say, yet? As he would say, yes, I'm not really interested in making war or causing a war because of it. I'm just interested in what it would be used for, besides just construction, and also helping me in the junkyard. As the US representative would say, well, we can certainly help fund that, but we need the blueprints. After hearing that, he would say, how much? As he would say, excuse me? As he would say, how much are you willing to get this blueprint? He would say, as one of them would say, we'll pay a lot, and even with the money, you're going to still join the IS Academy, since with this machine, you'll be a target with several countries on your back. Hearing that, he would say, I see. Then sure, just as long as you help... Wait for a second, my nose. Just as long as you're able to help out my brother. He's paraplegic. Hearing that, he would say, Sure thing, boy, but we just want you to try and make, well, that. As you would say, the desperado. As you would say, yes, yes. After hearing that, Chifuyu, oh god dang it, my cat. Wait for a second. Sorry about that. My cat keeps coming into the bed and trying to snuggle me up. I wouldn't want that right now, especially since she doesn't. I don't want to get clawed again. Anyway, continuing on, as you would say, deal. As after hearing that, you would say, good. May I ask you, kid, um, how are you able to basically make it? As you would say, hard work and a lot of money. Though it was mostly just grabbing the parts from inside my, well, junkyard, or my father's junkyard. Hearing that, he would say, I see. Then we will gladly fund your research in the. Actually, how do you categorize that? As hearing that, he would say, well, I do have a name for this type of machine. I call it the mobile suit. After saying that, Chifuyu would say, I see. Then we'll classify it as that. As she would look at him once again and would say, and about your eye. As he would say, no need. Besides, I guess there is a reminder. As saying that, the US representative would say, very well, boy. We're going to be starting off the year soon anyway, so please be ready. As he would say, sure thing. As he would grab onto his suitcase, which is this thing. As one of them would ask, what is inside that? As he'd say, oh, new actuators. I've been meaning to get these for a while now for the Desperado, since the ones that I've gotten are pretty much not working all that much. Especially since they were hand-me-downs. Hearing that, they would say, I see. Then, good luck. Also, please contact us over here so we can bring in the Desperado. As hearing that, he would say, very well then. After saying that, he would start to leave. As the US representative would say, quite an interesting young man. Though, I'm still surprised that he's able to make such a machine. I guess you could say that he's the Tabane, the male Tabane. As after hearing that, she would say, perhaps, but unlike her, he's more practical. I guess you can say that he's the male Tabane Shinonono, said the US the US yeah, wait for a second. Said Joe, as she would say, yes, I guess you could say that. As after he left, we would go to about several months later, as he's now 16. As after contacting the as he already contacted the UN, or at least the US representative of the UN, about him getting ready now to basically go to the IS Academy in Japan, which he's somewhat excited since, well, he never really went to Japan in his old life. Technically he did, but it's more like invasion. Anyway, continuing on, as we currently see him waiting outside with his Desperado. As his mother would say, I can't believe it, my son is actually going to Japan. As one of them, specifically his dad, would say, seriously kid, I never thought that you would actually make such a thing. As he would say, yeah, let's just say I'm quite talented, Dad. As he would look towards his brother, as he's currently now using a new wheelchair. Well, not technically a wheelchair because it doesn't have wheels. Instead, it has what seems to be spider-like mechanical legs. As he would say, Yeah, brother. I hope that you're going to be okay. As you'd say, yeah, don't worry. Besides, you can always just call me in like my cell phone soon. Anyway, be careful and please help mom and dad. As you would say, I'll try at least. Saying that, he would see from a distance a massive cargo, a massive like semi truck, as a few UN representatives and also some black cars nearby. As after they arrived at the somewhat isolated, scrapyard, they would look at the massive machine. It's completely bulky and somewhat strapped together, as you would say. So that's the machine? Yeah, I can't believe it's actually looks like that. As he would look towards the UN representative and would say, "Alright, let's go." As saying that, he would grab onto his bags and also his signature black looking. As he gets onto the massive cargo truck, or at least like in the front seat, as currently they would be busy in the back trying to put it inside, put the Desperado inside of the actual trailer, which is quite difficult considering how big it is. In fact, they originally thought it was going to be about the same size as like a typical IS. But when they realized that it was about the same size as like, let me just double check the actual size of the Desperado. Okay, from what I've seen, it's apparently about like 18 meters. Yeah, 18 meters in height. So yeah, pretty much unwieldy to basically put inside of a typical like aircraft. So yeah. So after a few hours of basically going across the U.S., they would finally arrive at the seaport. As while he was walking around the ship, he would hear from the UN representatives who would say, "So, young man, how does it feel going to Japan?" As he would say, "Honestly, it's quite interesting. Though considering that the creator of the IS, Tabanation no is Japanese, it kind of makes sense." As he would say, "So, may I ask, do you have any other ideas for this machine?" As he would say, "Nothing much, it's just a simple construction vehicle, and perhaps maybe a search and rescue operation based vehicle as well." As he would say, "Interesting. Never thought such a machine can be made that way." Well, considering the IS is mostly just for sports now. As you'd say, "No kidding." As he would grab onto a newly bought laptop thanks to the help of the people allowing him to use a credit card. As after a while, basically inside of the ship, some of the people nearby would notice that he's making blueprints for something. One day, when one of the UN representatives would come up to him, specifically one from Japan, as he would ask, "Say, Aznable-san, what are you doing?" As he would say, "Oh, making, I guess you'd say a sort of, personal IS, but mobile suit style." As you'd say, "Mobile suit style?" As you'd say, "Oh, I forgot to say this to you. I call my Desperado not a IS, but a mobile suit. I meant a mobile suit." As you'd say, "I see. Then may I ask, what is this?" As you would reveal a sort of, I guess you could say, prototype machine. As the Japanese representative would see the machine, as he would say, "Well, since I'm going to be designing, a mobile suit soon, I wanted to try and make my own personal project. I call it the Sinanju Steen." Sinanju Steen? As you'd say, "Yes. I decided to make this my personal unit." And so we'll be ending off this episode right off here, guys. So yeah, bye-bye!